Movie review number 1469 is The Smashing Machine. The Smashing Machine is a 2025 movie directed by Benny Safdie. So this movie has A24 Films, Out for the Count Productions, and 7 Bus Productions. I saw this movie on October 8th, 2025 at AMC West Chester 18 in West Chester, Ohio, in Dolby Cinema, which was very cool. So anyway, this movie is based on the true story of UFC champion Mark Cure. Now, I have never heard about Mark Cure in the past, or not before this movie, but this movie did take place during 1997 to 2000, and this was before I've heard of other wrestlers like John Cena or even Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Speaking of which, guess who plays Mark Cure in the movie? Dwayne Johnson. Pretty neat. So anyway, this movie features MMA fighter or mixed martial arts fighter Mark Cure, who reaches the peak of his career, but faces personal hardships along the way. So basically, it follows MMA or slash UFC champion Mark Cure, whose career peaked during the no holds bar era of UFC in 2000. So the movie takes place during the years 1997 to 2000, when Mark Cure started out for wrestling and when he became a national superstar in the UFC or in MMA. But then his career peaked during a wrestling match. He lost, and what made it even worse, he decides to take some drugs. And let's just say it became more of a abuse problem. And because of this drug abuse problem, he is forced to go into rehab and get some help. So this movie is about Mark Cure's rise to fame in the wrestling world and how his career peaked when he first lost a match, but also when he overdosed on drugs, and things seem to be getting a little out of control when he is trying to make it back in the wrestling world, but these drugs that he is taking, he is just using over and over, and people aren't really sure what to do with him, especially his girlfriend and his manager, who also happens to be his best friend. But Mark Creel is going to try to make that back. But the question is, will he? Oh, this was really good. So Dwayne Johnson portrays Mark Creel in the movie, while Creel actually portrays himself as in a cameo in the movie. Emily Blunt portrays Dawn Staples, who is Mark's girlfriend. Ryan Bader portrays Mark Coleman, who is Mark's friend. Bas Rutten portrays himself. Ultrasendria Usyk, Usyk portrays Igor Forchansolen. Uta Desolak portrays Igor's translator. Wincy Davin portrays Elizabeth Coleman. Satoshi Ishii portrays Ensign Eneru. James Montessori portrays Arita Sujiri. Yoko Hamamura portrays Kasayuki Fujita. Stephen Quadros portrays himself. Paul Chirand portrays Maserati Sakati. Cyborg Abirio portrays Fabio Gurgel. Andre Tico Tesoro Tricoteus portrays Paul Ferrierans. Marcus Aurelio portrays Mestre Hawk. Whitney Moore portrays Jacqueline. Paul Lazenby portrays Hans Nanchman. And Nick Torn portrays a fellow journalist. So I've heard about this movie for a while. And Dwayne Johnson who was part of the MMA or UFC for so many years and was nicknamed The Rock. He portrayed another former MMA champion, Mark. Pretty neat. It's interesting that Dwayne Johnson chose a more dramatic role compared to more of his action comedy roles. But it's also interesting how Dwayne Johnson really portrayed Mark really well, especially the fighting scenes and the dramatic scenes as well. As there has been some arguments between Mark and Dawn in the movie. Dawn is Dawn is Mark's girlfriend in the movie, and let's just say they have some big fights in the movie, and Dawn isn't really sure what she wants to do. Of course, Dawn does something later on in the movie that might change everything. And basically, this is a movie about Mark his rise to fame in the wrestling world, and how his career almost became over when he started using drugs and when he first lost a fight. But yeah, this was a really good movie. I definitely recommend it. And it was also interesting to see Marcure himself in a cameo near the end of the movie. That was really neat to see because the movie talks about well, the movie primarily takes place between 1997 and 2000, and there's something about what the movie says near the end of the movie. People don't really talk about Marcure or Mark Coleman or other champions back from 1990 from the 1990s or 2000s. But let's just say that Mark was one of the early pioneers in the wrestling world. I did not know that. But it was very neat to see that. So, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. So that's my movie review of The Smashing Machine. Please tune for next movie review. Alright, goodbye.